Okay, so we are using Iroko. It's African hardwood, very similar to teak. It's very waxy, just like teak. Some way cheaper. So I managed to get these really large pieces, 240 by 65s, and so it's a really good size to rip everything out of. Now, something to be very aware of when you use Iroko is that it's going to move all around on you when you rip it. It's under huge tension, and you can see on this ripping, I managed to get it on camera, that the board starts pinching on itself, so much so that the board cracks, and that happens pretty frequently using Iroko, especially with long rippings. You can get easily a 20mm bow out of your previously straight piece of timber, so that is something to bear in mind. Always buy oversize. And seeing as I have a nice new sliding table saw, I thought I'd put it to use and cut all my tenon shoulders and cut a lot of the waste out of the tenons. I have ordered a dado blade for this saw, but still has to come from Italy, I think, so not quite yet, which would have been really nice for this job. So this joinery is making up the end frame of the sofa. So here I'm going to start the mortise. I've decided to use a 25mm auger bit because it's actually way quicker to do it this way than to set up my little mortiser for this size mortise. And cutting through the waxy timber can be a bit sticky and clog up things like mortises. So it's actually just really quick to work with this timber as well. So I needed to make some 20mm slats. So luckily this timber being 65mm means I can get 3 20mm slats, and then I can make a corresponding groove in one of the side frames for those slats, and then round over all the corners of the slats before they get glued in. Right, so I'm using epoxy. These are outdoor sofas. I want lots of squeeze out here because I want the joint to be as waterproof as possible. You will notice perhaps there that this groove doesn't go all the way to the bottom where I'm putting the slats in, so the water has somewhere to run out and not directly down into the joint. That's my small way of dealing with the weather, in some way at least. So once the glue is dry, I can space the slats to the right spacing, and I'm just putting one stainless steel screw in place to hold them in place. They're very small head, it's like a 3mm head on these screws from Worth, but I'm sure you can get them all sorts of places. And now to cut the large back rails. And luckily this timber stayed very straight, so that was good. And one of those long rails I need to add a rebate. That will take the slats that hold the upholstery. And then more tenons on the sliding table. This is where this tool really comes in handy because I can hold this 2.6 meter beam on the table and effortlessly do the cutting. So the front beam of the sofa is a piece of 200 by 50, so I'm just straightening that up on the slide table. And even though I'm only ripping 50mm off this board, it's pinching so badly that I really have to put all my weight into this, and it even kind of slowed down the three-phase saw, so there's some real pressure in some of these pieces. Working with the sofa on its end seemed to be the easiest way to deal with these large timbers. I needed to add a center rail connecting the top and bottom rails of the sofa at the back. So I'm just using a domino. I've got a few Sapelli dominoes sitting around somewhere. And then I can add the groove for the back slats as well. So the bottom of this vertical rail ended up being in a kind of crappy spot for doing real joinery, so just relying on a few screws there. And while that's all clamped up, I can get the back slats in the right position and put screws into them as well. And onto the front 200 by 50, I can add a cleat that will take the slats and then a few heavy coats of teak oil. It's a bit smelly, but the stuff is pretty good. I kept going back over the tops of the posts to really let the oil soak into the end grain there, but it really brought out the golden colour of this timber, which I'm sure won't last for long once it's been out in our sun. And with the upholstery done in the nick of time, we were able to deliver the set just a couple of days before Christmas, which is when they're needed for a Christmas lunch. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you later.